Thanks for tuning into my channel today, and we're out here after 1 week, 1,000 kilometres and one great bike. So that's my thoughts on this Royal Enfield Classic 350 in the 22 model. It fills all those bills. It is with indeed a really great bike. And I'll just go through a few things with you. But before we do that, I was just going to say, this is the bike, you know, I've made up my mind now, like it's definitely this bike I'm going to do the roadside rest area reviews, where I'm going to ride out along the road, do a bit of cooking in places like what we see along here in the Aussie bush at roadside rest areas. And I'm putting together probably about 20 clips, so if you're interested in subscribing to the channel, keep that in mind. I think it should be really interesting in that line, as far as we're going to go out anywhere from my hometown to a area of 200 kilometre run each way. So this bike's got to be reliable, because that's why I've been out there giving it a run, just seeing what it's like at the moment, because I think I'm going to put up 4,000 or 5,000 kilometres to do this, you know, these runs. I'm going to plan for, say, at least 20 clips where we're going to go out. Just give you a refresh, we're going to go out 200 kilometres from where I live to a place that I think could be a bit of interest as far as Australia and history goes, or anything that's new in that line. On the way up there, we're going to pull up a place like this, set the drone up, let the drone track this great machine on the run. And also included on the same run, we're going to pull over at a place, and I'm going to do a rest side cooking area there, where I might pull over and make whatever meal I want, coffee, anything, or anything sort of, you could say, it grabs me attention when I'm out on these runs, and then we can pull over. And the best thing about it, I'll be using something like 10 different varieties of stoves, so in most cases no stoves will repeat themselves, plus all the other stuff I've got coming in, and I'm still waiting for stuff to arrive. In actual fact, I was playing with a knife a couple of days ago and copped this in the hand there, up in there. That's a pretty deep one, and I haven't been able to stop the bleeding on that one. I don't know, it went down pretty deep, but you know, when you get cut with a knife, first thing it does, if it's a deep one, it stings, and then after that the claret starts coming, and that's exactly what happened in this case. But you know, that's the way it goes. But the main thing is, I'm going to put this together. I think we'll have a bit of fun. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's well worth your trouble to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy that side of it when it comes to it, and you get involved. And you know, when we get out there, because where I'll be going is fairly remote sort of areas. It'll be on sealed road, dirt road, anywhere else, you know. In Australia, there's a lot of dirt roads, but the best thing about it, if you don't know what a roadside rest area is, that's areas where in the old days, old roads used to go along, and then when they put the new one in, they just canned it or blocked it off, and people use that sort of a road now to pull up for a rest stop, or you know, just to have something to eat, bite to eat, things like that. But I won't be doing, I'll be doing the old school ones that have been around 50, 60 years, not the new stuff. The new stuff have actually got they've got showers and toilets and everything on them, and some of them have got barbecue areas and stuff like that. I won't be targeting those. I thought I'd do this bit on the roadside cook back home, so it'd be a bit easier rather than cut all this stuff out and put it on the ground and then probably get up and then lose a bit of it. This isn't all the stuff we'll be using, but it's a fair bit of it, and I'm only waiting on a few items now and that'll be complete. So over here, we'll be looking at this wood stove here. Like, I'll be setting it up in the paddock to fire away. We've got another wood stove there too, so that works pretty good. Other side, we've got a gas stove there. I've already given it a bit of a run out, it works well. These little methane stoves, that one there works really, really well. So I've already cooked a couple of good meals on that one. This 3-burner gas one, again, a really good firer. Now, I've used this one a few times in the paddock. See this tin can, or I'll call it a tomato soup can stove, that really works well. So I can cook quite a bit on that one. So I've got my camping gear here like this, you know, as far as all the pots, all I want. We got ourselves over here a kettle, various fat wood. We got a fire extinguisher in the can in case I set the light to the paddock. We've got a grill there. We've got a really good saucepan there with or fry pan. Got the char cloth there. Got really good quality waterproof matches that'll light under any conditions. We've got even this one here which is capable of getting a spark using the char cloth from the sun. I've got the table there. Once again, we'll be using strikers to get our fire there. Maybe using the matches every now and again, but in most cases using the rod, the old-fashioned way to get it going. So overall, you know, we've got a fair bit of an assortment here to go ahead and give things a workout. And I think it should keep us really well occupied, so we'll swing back to where I'm out there on the bike, because like I said, it's just too much trouble to set this up out there. And we'll go from there, and I think this part of the experiment out there and riding along, pull up and have a coffee and something neat should be really interesting. So we'll swing back to me out on the bike. And I'll be using butane stoves, natural stoves, firelighters, everything you could possibly think of will be in that series. So I'm going to, you know, make sure I put a bit of effort into it and give you a good run for your money and no money involved. So let's get into my review on 1,000 kilometres on this beast, and we'll go from there. So first impressions now after riding this bike for 1,000 kilometres, I really think at this stage this is the best Enfield I've been on out of all I've had. So as far as that goes, so far it's been super reliable. I haven't put a spanner on it except one time when I decided just to check the exhaust system there, because I felt a bit of a vibe running through it, but it wasn't going through that one, and I was probably just part of the running process. So I figured to see how good this bike was, the idea was to get on it, ride it daily, give it its cool downs in between or heat cycles, and then get into it and get out there and whip it up. So 1 week later I whipped up 1,000 kilometres, and I can tell you now, so far, compared to an Enfield I've had before in the Classics, where I've been there, first thing I'd do, I'd change the spark plug, put a bit of a spark plug in so that idled better. I'd be out here and like going all through the bike there and tightening things down and something like that. Everything on the motor side of this, excluding the exhaust, because with all these ones they get a bit of a hard time heating and cooling all the time. So I did actually nip those up at the 500 kilometre mark, the exhaust itself, and probably 1/5 of a turn, something like that. And apart from that, the main structure, like the motor frame, anything else, any of the other bolts on it, I haven't actually touched them at all, and that's a record, believe it or not, because out of, like I've mentioned here a couple of times, I had 15 of these Enfields. This is the only bike, if I wouldn't have touched that exhaust, this would have been the only bike ever that went 1,000 kilometres without being touched. And if I include the exhaust, it's still the first bike that's done 1,000 kilometres not touched in any area. Sorry guys, a bit of a drama back there. I'm now in a new location, and this is the first trip with this bike on dirt. So if you look around here now, I've come in this section here, a few kilometres of dirt road, heading back up the way. So I'm really right in the scrub now. Reason this happened was, while I was doing it earlier on, my battery went flat. So like in Australia, it's not a case of just walk around the corner and get your battery. It was a case of me having to go back in town, get the other battery, and by the time I come back there's about 50 or 60 kilometres chopped up in that one. So we're going to see how this one here goes, and we'll get back to this review on this one. So, you know, there's always a bit of drama. My fault for coming out without a spare battery, but that's the way it goes. I'll tell you one thing about this bike while we're at it. Look how nicely polished the engine cases are. Usually after you've been on them and rode them a few kilometres, they all go dull, but I think now the new media's got a lot better polishing on the cases prior to where the old C5s had a little bit of rough casting, and this one looks a lot smoother. So if you got into that and give it another good polish, but you know, I'm not one to, you know, with all the riding I'm planning on doing, I don't think I'll have time to get out there and wash the bike or polish it. It's more like a workhorse. I've got to get out there and do these things, what I'm planning on doing, test the bike, see how it performs, and enjoy myself, and I'm not really a bike polisher. Okay guys, I've got something really special to show you here. Like I find it now when I've hit up around that 1,000 kilometre mark that I can cruise along fairly easy at 90 kilometres now. So I've been on 100 a couple of times too, so I'm varying the speed in that. But what I did prior to I got out here a couple hundred k's back, you'll notice here I've got the accelerator, and I've got, this is minimum, maximum over here, and this is roughly my set line there, because there's a little bit of slack on take up. Now what I find, or what I found, which is pretty interesting, is if I'm cruising at 80 kilometres an hour, I'm using roughly, I'd say, that much throttle, right? There's maximum over there. Now when I've had it on 100, I'm probably using about that, so I'd say roughly 1/3 throttle. So that's interesting, because when you're doing it, even when you're cruising on good flat ground at 100 kilometres an hour and using about that much throttle, you can tell if you touch the throttle after that, it's pretty active. And like I said, that is a set line, so you watch, there it goes, right around to full throttle. And I've only been doing roll-on throttles too, I haven't been doing a heavy throttle, so I'd say about there would be 100. And yeah, say about roughly there when I look down. And then if you want to, you've still got that. So I would say this bike, once it's run in and bedded in, you could say, and put up a few thousand kilometres, I'd reckon, you know, like definitely these will do 120 kilometres an hour. And at this stage I've got a good strong motor in this, so pretty happy with that. So next up on the fuel tanks, well, what I found now, because I've been riding at around 80, 90 compared to the round town, yesterday when I was out on it, I did exactly 300 kilometres before my last bar lit up to indicate I'm on the low fuel. Now, seeing I never got a user's manual with the bike, there was none that come in on the first shipment. I don't know really how many litres I got left after that, so I didn't bother. I just poured some petrol in, filled it back up, and I'm not sure how much was in there. But considering I was riding around at 80 and 90, I did get 300 kilometres before that warning light flashed for the first time on the last bar, so that was interesting too. And even when you look around this side, we'll go over here, on this side, really nice polished case in there too. So this bike out along the road, you know, it really runs well. And if I had to be honest with these tyres, they see it, which I thought were rubbish tyres, you know, I thought cheaper bike, cheapest of the available bikes in Australia, range from $8,000 to $9,000. Naturally, I would have got the cheapest tyres, but coming along this dirt road here at 40, 50 kilometres an hour, I actually thought it was pretty good. And on the way back, I'm going to hook up my camera and run it off the side bracket here and just see how that performs, you know, on the way back. And we'll just see if I can get a few good shots of the camera running along there and picking up a bit of scenery. Now, meanwhile, still no problems with the gearbox. A really nice positive change, always in the slot every time you move up or down. And it's you know exactly where you were. There's no box full of neutrals, anything like that. So it's bedding in nice. Clutch is still nice and heavy about what it does. The drop off or pick up of the thing is about almost full. Another good point I like on this Classic, or the new one, so when you look at your display like so, I think this is really handy. Like you've got I've done 1123 kilometres now, but you've got your nice fuel gauge, and that's there in segment bars right across. Then when you flicker down, you got your trip 1, trip 2, and then you got your clock, so that's handy. And the economy meter, well, I never worry much about that, but I think it's a good improvement having your 1 o'clock and your fuel gauge compared to before. Now, another thing I like, look at your indicators. This is a good thing. If I turn right, I get one over here, an arrow. If I turn left, I get one there. If you look at the old C5s, all you did is got the one plug and you didn't know which way you were going, and I think that's a really neat feature. Might as well talk about these Bibury brakes. The front one, I always said from the start when I got on it, was a bit spongy or didn't have much bite. Well, things have improved a little bit on that one now, and it's got a little bit more go in it. But the back one's always sort of had more bite in the front, but I had a couple of chances to use the front one a little bit harder, or apply the brakes a bit harder in the last day or two, and I find that now they're starting to sort of bed in a little bit better and got some bite. If you ask what bike I've ridden lately, which I think has had the best front brakes on it, well, that would be the Honda 354s. It was by far the best braking bike I've had in the yard over the last, actually this year. So that bit aside, but apart from that, you know, the fit and finish on this bike, like when you look over it itself, compared to yesteryear, they've really upped their game in field where they've put it together. They've got them all nice and tight together. More importantly, in 1,000 kilometres or 1,100, whatever I've got there, I mentioned a while ago, when I get on this bike now, it still has never failed to start first time every time. So when I get out here and press a button, it'll start straight away. And I think any time you get out on a bike and you press that button, it starts, well, you're halfway to wherever you're going. It's when they don't start, that's when you've got the problem. Now, the seat itself too, while we're talking on that, I found the solo seat on this one, like it's been a real surprise. I find that some days I've clocked a couple hundred kilometres on this bike, 100 each way, and on, in between what I do me heat cycle runs. And it's been really good in that respect there. It's a good seat to sit on compared to ones that I've been on before. Had no one on the back, so I really don't know how it'd handle that. I've already fitted the rail here to the pannier rack because, or the panniers right-hand side, they don't make a left with these because that's the Sarigode side in India and they don't put one on that. I haven't gone to putting a rack on yet because it's a little bit fiddly with all the nuts and bolts and all that. It's got to be put together. And due to my finger where I got it double sliced with a knife, I found that it was yesterday when I was working on that trying to fit the pannier on, I just couldn't get enough pressure in my hands to push both of them together. And that's when I split it open again and started bleeding. So I had to pass on that idea. So when it gets better, I mean, even from the cooking side, it sort of slaved me a bit back on it because naturally if you're going to get out there and start cut things up and doing that, it would be good if you got both hands working. So looking at that side, the other thing is I haven't been out there to try the headlights at night time as yet, or like I said, never had a pillion on the back, but that doesn't worry me much about the pillion side or the headlights because I'm not really out, I never bought this bike to do night riding. So apart from that, and I've mentioned to you once before, it's got a really good horn on it, so it sounds really good in that line. Now, if you're here for the first time looking at this, if you want to in the description, I'll put a link up and then you can go back and watch the 500 kilometre review and a couple of other ones when I picked it up if you're interested, like I think they'd be worth watching. So apart from that, well, that's something for extra you can just swing back and take a look at. While we're at it, another thing that's worth talking about, I find the stock suspension pretty good too. So I find when I'm coming along the road now and hit any bumps or anything like that, most of them I can bounce over with no drama whatsoever, and I've never been thrown off the seat hitting any bumps with it so far. So if you don't like bumps or being tossed around on the bike, I think there's a big improvement on this new Classic 350 because I think it's a well put together bike. Now the other thing and the big thing what you're talking about, I think the vibration side has even smoothed down a little bit better on this particular bike, and never had a great deal to start with, but out here now when I'm riding along 80 or 90 I don't feel much at all and very little in the pegs. So like when I've had Classic 500s over the years and I've had stories about them improving, you can work on them a little bit but not, I've never had any really good results. Like if they vibrate badly, they'll always vibrate badly, and if they vibrate a little bit you can help them up with heavier bar end weights and a couple of other things what I've tried on them which work a little bit and it all helps. But by C5 standards compared to this one's an absolute pleasure to ride because that's why I've been able to get out and put the Ks up on it and go for a ride early in the morning, late in the afternoon, and another reason why I suppose I put up 1,000 kilometres last Friday, and that was one week after I picked it up. I've only ridden it about 150 k's, you could say, since then. But last Friday was the 1 week, and I was up around, I think, about 875 on the last day, and I thought I'll go out and knock 125 up on it. And I was using that clip up until it got corrupted, so I was unable to put that up. But I think since then, this one I've put up now on it, or this one I'm in the process of doing, I think this is possibly a better clip because one, I got nicer surroundings. And like I said, these are the sort of roads I'm going to run this bike along when I'm going out on them because I've got no choice. I've got to, if I want to travel to some of these areas, I've got to take the odd back road. And, the choice is either take the road to where you want to go or don't go at all. And I know they ride these bikes all over India. Well, if they can ride them all over India, surely I can ride them around the back roads of Australia. Okay, before I close on this, I just thought I'd pick up my jacket off the ground in case I'm there yakking away to you not taking any notice. And seeing it's a fairly hot day, it's around pushing 30 degrees, wouldn't be too good if a large brown, as in snake, come over there on the ground there, wriggled inside the coat, and I went to pick it up and give me a more thrill for the day what I'm used to. So as far as that goes, what I'll do, we'll call this part of it quits. I'll see if I can get a bit of ride footage where I can put up somewhere in the beginning of this clip as we go through. It might be interesting and you'll be able to see where I've been along this road, and There's a few corners down further. I might be able to give it a run through there. So we'll see what happens there, because I've got about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 kilometres, maybe 8 kilometres of dirt road to get out, back up that way. So that's the way I'm planning on going back. So I'll set up the camera. So once again, you know, like, thanks for tuning in, taking a look. And like I said, if I get any good footage of that run back there to show you where I've been going along, well, I'll try to set it up and put it maybe at the front of this clip, just to give you an idea. So once again, thanks for tuning in, taking a look. If you want to sub to the channel, please do. And we'll keep this bike moving along till the time comes, and I figure I can get out and start doing some of those long run clips. And like I said, they're going to go over 3,000 or 5,000 kilometres, so it's not as if I'm in any hurry to think I've got to get it over. Here comes the car, only car along here since I've been here. So that bit aside, thanks for tuning in, guys, taking a look. I'll set up this camera now to see if I can get a bit of footage, and we'll catch up with you later. At the moment, I'm just also checking today. I bought a one of the new Rode Go-To microphones, I think, and they're wireless, and I'm just seeing how it performs compared to the corded jobs I've had before, which don't perform all that good. So there's a few firsts I want to bring in to the channel when I get all this together, and make sure that I can get the best possible footage and the other stuff all together to make it more interesting, and we'll go from there. So once again, cheers for now, catch you later.